Ladies and gentlemen, here we go with our first game with Dignitas Select and Inva FXO Strelok, the ambitious Terran. Both these players will be pitted on Darim Alter LE as their first match.
It can be a little bit of a difficult map to play on in TVT simply because of the way the choke point between the main and natural is laid out. Also, there's a couple cliffs leading into the main, so sometimes, every once in a while, we see Reapers used on this map since they can just kind of run straight into your mineral line. But I would be expecting, of course, just to have that standard Blue Flame Hellion play from these players. Could have some type of mid-game Banshee play. Who knows what we'll see here.
You know, right away, I was worried about the positions. So many times, Darim Alter does have positional problems just because depending if you're spawning clockwise or counterclockwise to your opponent, one player may have an advantage. I'm very thankful that we do not see that this game.
Yeah, cross positions is going to give an even playing field to both players, so it's going to be completely mirrored right now. So it's really anyone's game, regardless of which strategy they end up choosing. Now, interesting, I'm waiting to see, are we going to see a wall-off start to get set up from either of these players? It doesn't look like it. They're just kind of waiting, so going to be able to make that supply depot closer to the mineral line. Looks like, yep, there it is for both players. So without that wall-off, it does make it a little bit easier in the mid, or excuse me, harder in the mid-game, defending against things like run-bys with Hellions. Yeah. But of course, you do get just more minerals from not having to waste as much mining time walking all the way down to the
you know what? This is actually a pretty minor like defense against things like a proxy barracks in the middle of the map. Sometimes we do see Marauder play actually, and it's very rare, but I've seen Marauder play actually work out where you proxy it in the middle of the map, and some players do make that wall, and if you make that wall, you basically have 2 lost supply depots, possibly, you know, lost tech lab or something like that, just from the Marauders coming in. Of course, we don't see that from either of these players, but they are diverging a little bit.
Yeah, we do have the gas first for Strelok, so we'll be able to get that factory up as soon as his barracks finishes. We'll delay his orbital command just a little bit there, and you won't have the early Marines as opposed to Select, who did go for the barracks first. So, you know, opposite. He'll have those early Marines that'll have that quicker orbital command, but his factory is going to be a little bit delayed, so his tech will just come out a little bit later. Now,
I mean, it is a stylistic thing, but Orb, which way do you prefer on a map like Darim Alter?
Well, personally, I like the gas first build because I think it gives you more options to go into things like, I see a lot of players add on the starport and, you know, get 1 Banshee and then a Viking. The Viking generally for defense, but you can use that 1 Banshee for a lot of harass and scouting information, even if their opponent is pretty well prepared for it. But you can also, of course, go into things like Blue Flame Hellion drops. But of course you can do the same thing with barracks first. It's just all delayed, and of course those timings on those types of harassment based builds are pretty important.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I do like the options and the ability to just stick on 1 gas and then get your expansion rather than getting both gases or something like that. Select is actually going for the tech labs, so he's going to do some sort of Reaper expand, it looks like. There's the first Reaper. And do we have additional gas being mined? No, it looks like 1 was taken off. So he is really, really gunning for this expansion as fast as possible.
Yeah, that will give him a slightly more efficient income mineral-wise. So he'll have a little bit less gas, but of course doesn't need quite as much since he is just going for this Reaper expand. On the other side, we do see that Strelok is going to be going for, well, it's not going to be a reactor Hellion expansion. He is going to go ahead and throw it on that starport. We'll basically just have to wait and see. Is he going to throw it on the tech lab and go ahead and get that early Banshee? Is he just going to use it for the for the medevac for drops and perhaps a Viking for defense? But one thing's for certain, Strelok's expansion is going to be much, much later than Select's here. Yep. So whatever harassment he does try to go for, he's going to have to do quite a bit of damage with it. Otherwise, he will be coming out with a disadvantage coming in the mid game.
Looks like Select is stockpiling a lot of minerals. There, everything goes down, waiting for that 1 SCV to be cleaned up. 2 additional barracks and combat shields, it looks like, goes down. So he will be getting his defenses up in time, hopefully for this Hellion harass to come, which has not switched off with the reactor yet.
Yeah, a little bit interesting there to leave that by itself. He actually did lose a Hellion in the middle of the map to the Reaper of Select, so nice little pick off there by Select that will hurt that, you know, that Hellion count. And of course, with the medevac already on the way, Strelok really need to keep those Hellions alive because he's going to need all 4 to be able to go for that, you know, as efficient as possible attack. As we can see right now, the medevac's already popping out, and he's only going to have 2 Hellions available to him. And here comes the Reaper right now. These 2 Hellions are going to intercept it though, so it will die, but it might have actually seen that medevac.
It did. It saw the medevac and it saw the two Hellions with it. So what does Select actually do against this? He doesn't have a lot of units. Units tab is showing 7 Marines total. That is actually very difficult to deal with the mobility of these Hellions that are coming up here. I don't know where. Well, there you go. It looks like a little bit of pause, but you know what? It's a difficult, precarious situation for Select right now, because I feel like, oh, it looks like we're back into the game right now, but it's not a lot of units, and it's defending a ton of position. I don't know if he'll be able to actually defend against this perfectly.
Yeah, and we do see the tech lab coming out from Strelok, so he does. Well, never mind. As soon as he gets the tech lab up, he just starts a Viking. So I'm not sure why he got that tech lab and then went for the Viking. That whole timing doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Either get the Viking first, then get the tech lab, or get the tech lab and get the Banshee. But here we have the engagement coming forward. It looks like Select is going to try to take out some of these units. He's got to be careful about the Hellions on the low ground, but the Hellions are out of range, and he's able to take out all of the Marines. Nice play. Looks like Strelok just going to go ahead and drop straight into the natural now. The SCVs are already being pulled, but he doesn't even actually drop the units. There we go. Must have been a little bit of a misclick there. Hellions doing quite a bit of slashing, as these Marines are a little bit stacked up, but it looks like Strelok just going to go ahead and go back home. He does have his command center about 3/4 of the way done, and look at that. Cloak and a Banshee are on the way, so we are going to see that mid-game Banshee play, not just the standard one, but also with that Cloak. And I'm looking at Select's base. He does have 100 energy saved up right now, so perhaps he's just going to keep saving that, and an engineering bay. We'll have to see if he can get any turrets up in time, and if he ends up wasting this energy, if he saves it for those possibility of that Cloak, so he can use those scans.
Yeah, Strelok is in position where he didn't do enough damage, and because that one command center is up, Select was able to get a lead in Harvesters and Economy. That's why he has to follow up with this one Banshee, but I have to say that combat shield timing really paid off. We do see that he was able to defend against that incoming pressure very easily, and look at that, actually taking a 3rd command center. I don't know if he can, because here a drop comes in the back. Meanwhile, there is a little bit of pressure in the front.
Yeah, the Marines and Hellions dropping right now. Unfortunately, Select has not pulled his SCVs. There we go, now finally pulling them. I did lose just a couple there, not the biggest deal actually, and he's not even target firing the SCV, building that turret. I really feel like he should try to kill that turret off, since he knows. I mean, the strength of it going for a drop like this while he's going for Cloak Banshees is that if your opponent's getting turrets, you can pick them off, and then your Cloak Banshees come in, and they don't really have a way to deal with it. So the fact that he didn't target fire that turret, or at least the SCV building it, does kind of concern me a little bit, considering he's investing so much in this Cloak tech. Cloak is done now, I believe, and the first Banshee is going to go ahead and run straight into the natural where there is not a turret in place. The
problem with delayed Banshees is the fact that, oh no, it's actually just walking right in.
Are we watching the best, man? Is this Strelok or is this the best? That was, oh my god.
That was, well,
he didn't even cloak, man. He just,
I know,
on move commands.
I mean, that could basically be seen like, he was already so far behind, that might have been the game-losing move right there. Because what he basically does is says, okay, I'm not going to pressure you at all. I have no capacity to do so. Look at that Harvester count. It is just about 8 different, or a difference of 8, which gives a huge advantage to Select. That is just about a 20% increase, or 20% advantage in the number of workers. We're going to see if these Hellions can do anything, but I highly doubt it, especially with these Marines, with combat shields being here. On top of that, they have the bunker, and medevacs are out. Stim and combat shields are out.
Now, Strelok finally has Blue Flame and Siege Tech on the way, but I feel like with the large number of Hellions he's been relying on here, I feel like he probably should have tried to get that Blue Flame just a little bit earlier, simply because he keeps going forward for that aggression, and he can't even like kill off an SCV with his entire volley of attacks, so might just be a little bit helpful, but he desperately needs to do some damage with these Banshees. I mean, he's only killed 3 workers all game. Here comes a drop in the main with 4 Hellions, but I mean, I don't understand why he's not sending a Banshee in anywhere, I guess, and now the turret's up at the natural, so he can't really do that much, but he could at least maybe put some pressure on these supply depots, maybe put some pressure on the production line where there are no turrets, something of the sort. But these 4 Hellions are going to try to get some of these SCVs, but they are unsuccessful and just fly away.
Select actually went for his own depot, unfortunately, but he will be able to just make sure that drop does minimal damage. In the meantime, Strelok is just buying time until he gets a good siege tank count up in time. I don't know if we saw that one command center. Let me go ahead and check if we saw the command center. No, he did not. So this 3rd command center is going unchecked, unchallenged, and he will be able to utilize that to get another expansion, further extending his economic lead.
Yeah, luckily Strelok is doing much of the same. He is just a little bit behind since, of course, he doesn't have his, he doesn't have his morphed into an orbital just yet since it's just completing. And I believe, yeah, it was spotted by the scan. So Strelok does have a very good amount of information right now as to exactly when his opponent is taking his third, and thus he might be able to utilize that timing window available to him to go forward for the attack. But he's going for this mostly infantry-based army here. It does have just one factory, but it doesn't even have a tech lab on it. So he's just really going pretty heavy on the Marine Marauder medevac, and I feel like for going for that style, I would like to see just more drops from Strelok because he hasn't put on any pressure all game. And the strength of these medevacs is the mobility it gives your army, and I'm looking at Strelok's base right now. He doesn't have any turrets anywhere. He has an army, but I mean, it's just right here at his natural, so if you were to actually just drop the mineral lines, it could be pretty effective.
I do agree. Right now, I mean, I think it's because Select has just gotten his third. There's a lot of position he has to defend. We can see straggling units all over the place. He's actually scared of Hellions running in and just ravaging his economy line, so he is staying a little bit safe. For now, at the 14-minute mark, just trying to contest a little bit of map control, getting those Xel'Naga towers, which are so important. Once he captures all the Xel'Naga towers, he will then be able to drop. Then we will see the aggressive Terran that is Select.
Nice scouting information by Strelok. Saw that army coming forward with that unit on the Xel'Naga tower, so he knows exactly what's coming towards him. Those 6 medevacs, that Marine Marauder force, but he has a lot of siege tanks, so if Strelok gets a nice defensive position set up with these tanks, he'll be pretty set. In fact, I'm a little surprised he's not worried. If I were him, I'd be worried right now trying to get those tanks into a defensive position before the Marine Marauder just comes up and stims and kills with everything. Now he's trying to set that up, getting a turret at the natural as well. But I don't want to just, beat a dead horse, but I really do feel like right now, with Select unable to put pressure on into the front of Strelok, he should at least try to do some type of harassment. But I do like what he's doing here. Oh my gosh. I thought it was like a double expand. It's actually a triple expand here from Select. Yeah. He's now going to be on 6 base to the 3 base of Strelok. So if Strelok doesn't come out and push very soon and basically kill off Select while he's doing this really risky move, then Select is going to have an unbelievable economic lead.
Yeah, let's go over real quickly why this is such a good idea, and it is safe. What you're basically doing is saying, okay, because my opponent is making a mech army, it's a very push directional or a push orientated army composition. You have one place to push and you're very slow because of those siege tanks. They have to siege up, things like that. You can delay them quite a bit. So what Select says is, okay, well, because you have a push style army composition, I'm going to go for a mobile style, which is a Marine Marauder, and just scatter all of my command centers. So there's not a huge way that you can push directly onto me and kill every single one of them. It's such an intelligent move to do, especially with his army compositions. He will be just constantly threatening to counterattack. I don't see him really engaging fully with his mech army. I think that would be a blunder.
Yeah, moving into all these tanks with a really nice sieged up position would be pretty bad for Select when he's trying to take all these expansions. At this point in time, what he really desperately needs to do is just not lose his army. If he loses his army, Strelok will push forward and kill him, and all that economic advantage, all those extra bases he's taking, will be absolutely useless for him. He won't be able to rebuild his army in time to stay alive. So he needs to keep his army alive, maybe pick off some of the units from Strelok while they're unsieged. He needs to delay the push, basically. Oh my god, none of the tanks are sieged up. There's the big siege from Strelok. All of the tanks sieging at once, but it looks like Select's going to continue engaging, moving forward with his army. He needs to target fire, though. There we go. It was too late. Select did not target fire the tanks. If he had actually done that with his infantry, I have no doubt he would have won that engagement very, very easily. So it's a bit of a shame there that he was just on attack move. But you know what? He is macroing pretty well, rebuilding his entire army. It looks like Strelok is going to go straight for that 6 o'clock
Strelok needs to be careful. There's a lot of units coming out here. A lot of his tanks are very badly wounded. He needs to back up. Select is actually getting pushed back here, but you know what? The moment he goes unsieged like that and he gets caught off guard, there's only 6 siege tanks. They get taken out so fast. It looks like there's one bunker over here defending him. This will get picked off. It looks like the bunker doesn't even have range. There it goes. Finally, and now the siege tanks are going to siege up. That expansion is probably going to go down. You know what? I would have loved Select to actually go around and not engage on that army. Give up an expansion. That's okay. Yeah. But then attack your opponent's expansion. Get rid of this planetary fortress.
Yeah, I don't think attacking into this army right now is a good idea. I think he should just lift the orbital, abandon this base. He has plenty of other bases. There's no reason he needs to hold this. If he goes and attacks into a sieged up line like this with all of the tanks already in siege mode ready to go, it will just not work out well for him despite his 2-2 upgrades. So I really think he should, as you said, just abandon this and basically wait for Strelok to be forced to leave here. I don't know why he's wasting money repairing this orbital. Just lift the orbital, man. You're not even mining from it anyways. Why leave it on the ground? There's literally no purpose, but he's going to go for the huge engagement. Stimming forward. Where are the Hellions? There's actually no support here for Strelok. What happened to all his Hellions, man?
They all died,
you only had tanks there and wasn't able to actually defend them.
Looks like more Hellions are going to come down here and additional siege tanks. This is a lot of units. It's going to be hard to actually take this out. The Hellions are light units, but here we go. Actually not sieging up. That's a bad move, and all the siege tanks are going to get obliterated. It looks like Select is going to take a gigantic lead with that battle.
Yeah, I mean, look at what Strelok's doing. He's been investing quite a bit into these Vikings. That's not going to be helpful for him unless his opponent was going for mech-based play. Yeah, he can use the Vikings to kill off medevacs, but that's a lot of food and investment into an army that's not actually helping him versus the Marauders and Marines from Select. And the fact that Select was able to keep that 6 o'clock base alive and his bottom left and 3 o'clock bases just basically means he has an unbelievable advantage right now. No, the bottom left and 3 o'clock bases are not saturated at all right now. But as soon as he does send SCVs over there, which I believe he's doing right now, yes, some SCVs going over to the bottom left base, and I believe he's milling up the 3 o'clock base whenever he gets an opportunity. That's just such a huge advantage that I don't think Strelok can come back from. He did take a 4th base of his own with a planetary that will be a little bit difficult for a Select to kill. But I mean, that's 4 base versus 6 base right now. He's gonna go for a counterattack with a whole bunch of Hellions, but it looks like Select is prepared. He has a bunch of Marauders over there. They're gonna slow down those Hellions and prevent them from doing too much damage while he takes out the planetary of Strelok. Yeah, the
planetary has no chance. It gets taken out so fast. It looks like more siege tanks are gonna come over here and just siege up, but they don't really have a purpose over here. They're trying to, I guess, say, okay, Select, if you run into me, you lose all your stuff. But of course, Select is too smart. He did scan and saw that happen. So I want Select to actually take all these units and just shove it in the middle of the map. That's where they need to be, just to say, okay, I'm going to threaten going to the left-hand side, to the right-hand side, the east side, the west side, and really Robin Hood Meta tights it up.
You know what I would like to see from Select, man? Just continuous upgrades. There we go. Finally, +3 armor on the way. I don't know why he didn't have that earlier since he was already maxed. But you know what? He is going to have 3-2 here pretty darn soon, whereas the upgrades from Strelok are unbelievably far behind. He only has +1 for his mech here. Now, he is doing a good job picking off these medevacs with those Vikings, but that's the only purpose of those Vikings. So now he has 10 Vikings in his army that are pretty much useless. I guess he'd land them and use them with his army, but they're not going to be that efficient since they're armored. They will die very, very quickly to all these Marauders from Select. And it looks like Strelok out of position with no scouting formation. This entire army from Select is going to run straight up to the 3rd base, and Strelok's going to be completely undefended.
This is the purpose of these Marine Marauders. They're going to come in here and just completely kill this Orbital Command Center. Look at how fast 2 volleys of all these units was able to take out a 1,500 and 3 armored planetary fortress. Looks like siege tanks are sieged up here. Strelok realizes what's going on. He's just going to say push, but look how many Hellions he has to supplement this army. It's definitely not the place where he wants to be. Now Marauder's going to come up here and do a good amount of damage, it looks like. Additional stim Marauders going to come from the right-hand side. Looks like Strelok is going to siege up here. While, oh my god, here is all the units from the top that killed off that planetary fortress. We have a huge surround coming in pretty soon.
Mule's getting dropped down so they can repair, but here comes the big attack from both sides. Mule's getting thrown down from Select, actually. I guess he was just throwing down some mana mules there. He knows how far ahead he is. He has so many bases. So it wasn't any type of crazy play like TLO's. Mules blocking off units from leaving, obviously, but it was basically just saying, get out of the game, Strelok. I actually have 6 bases against your 3.
Well, it could have been to just do some friendly fire as well. A lot of Kawhi Rice does that to me, and it's really annoying. I hate him.
Oh yeah, that could be very annoying. But I don't think that would be the case. I mean, maybe if he had done that before he engaged. Yeah. After he'd already engaged, obviously the tanks are already attacking his Marines and Marauders, so it wouldn't actually do anything, but that can be a very annoying tactic when you just start taking all that friendly fire.
I just want to throw it in there because Kawhi Rice annoys me when he does that.
Well, it looks like Strelok's moving forward for more aggression, but look at the food, man. It's 187 for Select compared to the 120 of Strelok, and yet again, of course, Select at 3-2 with 3-3 about to complete. I'm surprised he's engaging 15 seconds before +3 armor is about to complete, but I guess it doesn't matter. He's that far ahead. He's just going to stim forward, target all of these tanks, and Strelok is going to lose everything.
Yep, look at that. Only the Vikings live, and as the Vikings start to die, I know, they're not as effective, but he needs to have these here. With only 3 Vikings, he has to reproduce, because if he doesn't, what Select will do is load up like we just saw in the last game, or the last battle, load up into these medevacs, and stagger drop across the units. And what that'll do is draw tank fire and make it so that the splash damage is absolutely zero, minimizing the amount of DPS that these tanks are doing.
You do have to be very careful about tactics like that, but I mean, Strelok has to be careful at everything right now. He's so unbelievably far behind. I mean, I don't know how he can win this. He's definitely doing a good job, you know, continuing to come forward with these pushes, but he keeps just getting his army killed without actually being able to do much damage at all. He's going to try to take that fourth again, floating a command center out there, but it looks like the entire army from Select is going to move forward for an engagement right now. He's just going to walk straight past that tank army, stim on the entire army, running straight up into the natural. This is bad for Select because his entire army's going to be out of position. He's going to have to bring his tanks back, and no, he's going to call the GG. Select's going to take game number 1.
So that's going to do it. Strelok is going to fall behind 0-1 in this best-of-3 series. I have to say, and I actually have to contest his army composition that he won for the positions on that map. I don't agree with Mech in cross-map position on Darim Altar when mobility is one of the most important things on that map. Yeah,
on a really big map like that, of course, the longer the rush distance, the more the speed of your units matters, because it's just, you know, being taken into account over a longer distance. It's going to affect the game more, and counterattacks end up being a really big deal. And we actually saw, you know, Select. Well, I mean, first off, he got way ahead by just taking 1 million expansions, and Strelok, with his immobile army, wasn't able to put pressure on them. But on top of that, not only was he not able to put pressure on, he actually never even scouted them. So I feel like he definitely needed to have some better scouting options. Either send, you know, like a single Hellion out to just go through every single base on the entire map, something like that. But then also Select came forward and just kept sniping the bases that Strelok had. He got the 4th at the 12 o'clock. He got the 3rd over at the top left. It seemed like Strelok was completely unprepared for that. That's all theoretically correct. That's exactly how that matchup should play. Well, not the matchup, but the army composition matchup should play out. It's the Meching Terran has this really immobile army, and all the Bioforce should be doing is going around and counterattacking wherever the Mech army is not. The big thing that I saw was actually the Mech army not being situated correctly for most of the time. He was being caught consistently off guard, losing tanks all over the place, being caught in siege mode multiple times, and you cannot afford that, especially on a map like Darim Altar. But still, I really I don't like Mech on that map in particular. I really feel like it's much weaker. Mobility is such a key thing with all the expansions so spread out. But that being said, I want to see what Strelok has in store for us game number 2, because, you know, it is a do or die right now. Match point for Select. We're going to be moving over to Metalopolis after this break. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be back.